Hello, everyone. It's me, Captain Logan. How is everybody's Tuesday afternoon? I was like, what day is it? Oh, yes, yesterday was Monday. It's all coming back to me now. I thought I would just jump on for half an hour or so and say, hello, what's up, folks? Does anybody want to chat about anything interesting? Feel free to throw in questions while I'm here and comments and anything that you want to talk about. I have no plan. This is not a predetermined thing. This is totally random, and I was just kind of sitting around playing video games after doing a comic review and relaxing, and was like, as usual, the way I feel like relaxing right now is by making more videos, going live, hanging out with you folks. And I'm coming back next week for regular streams again, Monday through Friday, so probably less of this kind of stuff because I won't have as much time. But man, do I have a lot of stuff I want to do this year, and I'm kind of concerned about overextending myself again. That's a huge problem that I have, but I got lots of ideas. I got lots of things that I've kind of got going in the pipeline. I'm not going to announce anything today because I know people love it when I do that. Oh my God, Cap, stop announcing things. But, well, I say I'm not going to announce anything. I'm going to announce a couple of things that are actually for sure happening, not speculative kinds of things. Tonight, I'm going to post, this will actually happen. I'm going to post a video that I shot yesterday with Brandon and Adam. Pre-recorded. Oh my good, can you believe it? More pre-recorded content. That's amazing. We shot a thing that I couldn't really do live because it required moving a camera around, showing you stuff that wouldn't look as good on a cell phone. This technology is getting a lot better, and some people have phones that they can live stream from, and it looks just as good or better than this, but mine is not that way. My phone's fine, but I don't have as good of a cameras. Some folks that I know, DJ has an amazing camera on his phone. I don't know what kind of phone he has, but we shot a video while I was there about Criterion stuff that we were shooting at a Barnes & Noble, and shockingly, we didn't get thrown out of said Barnes & Noble, and his footage looked like we brought a 4K camera in there, and I was really impressed with it, but mine's not quite up to snuff with that. I did a live tour of the bunker that came out okay, but I wish I could have used my regular camera for that. But anyway, so we shot a video about Laserdisc, which I had never gotten to look at before. Adam gave me his old Laserdisc player a while back, and I hadn't had a chance to test it yet because I didn't have any Laserdiscs, but he gave me one last night. He brought over a few. We checked out some stuff. Sorry, I'm knocking things over. Nothing's broken, so don't get worried. Don't get too excited. It would be a big event on the channel if I started breaking things again like the Riddler cane, but that didn't happen. Anyway, but he gave me Roger Rabbit on Laserdisc, which is one of my favorite movies, and really cool to have what essentially feels like a vinyl record of this movie, and you'll get to see us taking a look at Laserdisc, and Adam gave us a wonderful rundown of the history of the technology and how it works and the difference in different kinds of discs. It's very educational. It's going to watch like an episode of Reading Rainbow or Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood or something, and I'd love to do more stuff like that. I gotta do more videos just picking Adam's brain, because he knows everything pop culture-wise and especially sci-fi-wise up to like a certain year, and it's nuts what sticks in that guy's brain. Anyway, Adam from our old Star Trek club, which we haven't done in a long time, and some folks are asking us to bring back, and if I can find some time at some point in the schedule, I really would like to do that again. But welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here this afternoon. Let's see who's in the comments, shall we? Look, it's Hayden Spring. Hi there. It's SS Jerry. Bright Burns is here. He says he liked my Patriot Games review, which he requested. Thanks, man. There's Super Billy. Hayden Spring says he's at work and he hates it there. What a bummer. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully I can slightly brighten your day through rambling. Tell me what you do, if you don't mind me asking. What kind of work are you doing? Hayden Spring, go watch Gimes so I can yell about lore with you. Yeah, I do want to watch that. Man, I have this giant laundry list of stuff that I want to watch and talk about, and then it's like I don't always have time to take a lot of notes because I'm taking care of my kids and my twin girls and stuff, and so like I'll watch things and I can have it on, but I can't necessarily write a bunch of things down, and then I'm like, but am I going to be articulate enough when I finally sit down to talk about the thing? Like I just finished Better Call Saul. Like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, and I really want to talk about it, but I'm like, am I going to be articulate enough? I've given it one watch. There's so much analysis I'd love to do with that show, but I want a second view. A second viewing of that because I know a bunch more stuff will jump out at me, and I've got opinions now that I bet I wouldn't have on a second viewing. I'll just say real quick, I like that show overall a lot. Is it better than Breaking Bad, like a lot of folks have said? I don't think so, because I think you need Breaking Bad to fully appreciate that show. I think there's such good companion pieces to each other that at this point, I don't know that one is better than the other. Like Breaking Bad is a standalone thing maybe, but then what's so wonderful about that show as a prequel, and it's maybe the best prequel we've ever had, is that it requires the other show, so it's continuing the nonlinear storytelling that Breaking Bad gave us. I've got a lot to say about that show, and yet I'm afraid if I do it right now, it's not going to be as good of a review as it might be if I did a second watch. But then it's a long show, and there's 6 seasons, and if I waited until I watched the whole thing again, you wouldn't see a review from me in a long time. So I'm like, I don't know, I just wing it. I just do kind of a sign flip review and hope for the best. Maybe that's what I'll have to do with it. And that's how I'm feeling about the anime thing, where I have started 3 or 4 different animes, hoping to do overviews of them, and then I'll have to fall off of it for a while, and then when I get back to it, I feel like I don't remember enough of what happened before, so it's like, yeah, I could go ahead and finish the show, and I'll know for myself more or less what happens, and I've experienced it, but is that good enough for a review? And I don't know, maybe I need to not overthink these things. Maybe I need to just sit down and wing it and hope for the best. And I know a lot of you guys just want to know what I think about things, and I worry too much about the content being good. But then at the same time, you don't want to have too much of a quality over quantity sort of mentality about it. I mean, I worry about that with my daily comic reviews that I'm doing right now. I'm trying to make those as interesting as I can and as fun as possible, but I'm, just doing a simple turn on the camera and talk and then turn it off and not editing, because I don't have time to do that if I'm posting those daily. So I don't know. I'm all over the place. This channel is an absolute mess, but I don't know. I'm trying to keep up and make it as cool as I can. And man, there's so much stuff that I'm hoping to bring to you this year. So yeah, with the anime thing, I posted about that yesterday. I'm really wanting to do more stuff with that this year, and probably not full-on overviews, because just watching enough in rapid succession and keeping it all in my head and then sitting it down and talking about it like I did with Death Note is difficult to sustain with everything else I've got going on. So I'm thinking about doing, and again, this isn't announcing things. I don't know what I'm doing yet, okay? But I am thinking about doing like initial reaction or responses to like the first few episodes of a thing, or maybe even blind commentaries. I haven't decided yet. The thing I'm concerned about with the blind commentary thing is that, talking over it as I'm watching it, which I guess is easier to do with Japanese stuff, because I have to read the subtitles and I can't, really hear the language anyway, so it makes it maybe a little bit easier to talk over, but I'm still certainly going to miss stuff. So it would be hard to build really a knowledge base as I'm just reacting to everything that I'm watching, because I probably wouldn't spend a lot of time watching things off camera. So it's probably a better idea to just sample stuff and then come on and do kind of how we felt about Sign Flip videos, and then just watch the shows that I'm really interested in, invested in based on those first few episodes, and then maybe do overviews of those if I am able to, if I get around to it. But I do want to do more anime stuff. Indigo 84 is a name I don't immediately recognize. Hi there. How's it going? Hey, what are your thoughts on the new TMNT movie? Have we gotten any more information since a few months ago, the last time I talked about this? That's the movie that's being spearheaded by what's-his-face, the guy that everybody says I look a lot like the guy who made Green Hornet. Why can't I think of his name right now? I haven't thought about this in a while. So yeah, I gotta see more, information and stuff. I wasn't thrilled with the initial, bits of art we were getting, but we haven't seen a ton yet. So I don't know. I'm kind of just withholding judgment until we finally get a trailer and see anything else about that. But hopefully that's great. What are folks saying? Remo Nightmare Better Call Saul has better posters and cinematography than any CW show. Better posters? Okay, sure. I mean, I don't disagree with that. Aiden Spring, I'm glad you were excited by my presence. I'm so excited by your presence. I'm excited by everybody's presence. Hey, look, it's a super chat. Tom, $2 super chat. Is the Batman TV made by the same people as the projector? No, it's not. Or at least I don't think it is. That Batman TV, I can't even tell who makes it. I gotta look into that. But that's from like 15 years ago. And even if it was, it would still be bizarre. Like, I think this projector is a newer company. But regardless, it would be really strange because so if you didn't see the short I made, I did a little YouTube short where I showed, and by the way, the Batman TV I'm also showing in the Laserdisc video tonight. I'm not doing a full-on review of it, but just kind of giving you a look at it. We hooked the player up to that CRT, so that'd be cool to show it off in that video so you guys could get a better look at it, because people were asking me about that. But anyway, when you press the AV button to change the line, the channel from AV, the different channels on the TV, if you do it close enough to my projector, it turns on my projector. It's very strange. So it's not even like a power button that makes two things turn on and turn off. It's a different functionality that does a different functionality for that other device. So it's very odd. Hayden Spring is making soybeans, he says. He works at a soybean processing plant. Well, I'm sorry that you're not enjoying your job, but I understand you got to do what you got to do, and good luck. I hope you have as great of a day as humanly possible. Senior Sticks, was Captain Logan labeled as dead? No, I was just trying to think of anything to put in the title, since this video isn't about anything except, hi there, I want to chat, and I like live streaming. Subject, John says, Cap's Bat TV is a crypto freak. Yes, it is, apparently. And that is a really strange power, to be honest with you, where you can make projectors turn on if they're within the right proximity, and not even that far away. Like, your range is real crappy too. Jonathan Naziri, hi, where do you think Darkman stands in the pantheon of superhero movies? Borderline obscurity, I think, is the answer. The folks that have seen Darkman, most of us tend to like it and appreciate it. It's remembered, I think, less as a superhero movie and more as an important early outing for Sam Raimi, where he's kind of developing his style. So, like, people, recognize that it's a superhero movie, but it's not thought of as one that's very influential on the genre on the whole. I think people also kind of forget just how, like, connected to Batman 89 that movie is. That, it comes out right after that. It's got a Danny Elfman score that's basically just the Batman score. But, it's B-horror as much as it's a superhero movie. Certainly not to belittle it or anything, because Raimi really works with what he's got in that movie, and I really like that movie a lot. But, like, I guess if you're in the know, you probably think of that as a, like another movie that's very influenced by Batman 89, although I hesitate saying that because it comes out right after it, so I don't know how much it could be, but it really feels like it's, of the same era, very much so. But yeah, kind of, obscure, but quite good. What is happening in the chat. Let's find out. Cinematographic Cap, would someone who actively hunts dangerous people, unsanctioned, realistically feel the need to call themselves a crime fighter, much less be allowed to call themselves one? Well, I don't know. I mean, we're talking semantics, so I guess if you fight crime, you're a crime fighter in the same way as if you sing, you're a singer. You're not necessarily a good one or anything, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you ought to or that anyone around you wants you to do such a thing. But yeah, would you realistically feel the need to call yourselves a crime fighter? I feel like even now, as popular as superheroes are in media, in movies and stuff, I think most people would still kind of would be likely to label you a crackpot if you went out in the middle of the night and fought crime and said, "Look at me, I am a crime fighter," and you'd stand up on a roof with your cape billowing in the wind, with nobody else looking around, just kind of imagining that you're the star of your own movie. I think people would think that was kind of weird. Like, even if you were doing a good job of it, most people would say you should go through the proper channels, like become a cop or something. I mean, in this day and age, maybe a little bit less so when some people are, not especially trusting of the police. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm of two minds about it. There's a part of me that is kind of surprised that more of that hasn't happened. And then I still think that the majority of people would be like, yeah, don't do that. You need the proper training. You need to go through the proper channels. But yeah, I mean, I guess you can call yourself whatever it is you're doing. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's legitimate. Philip Kelton, super chat, hey, you saw the sci-fi TV movie I sent you in Discord? My apologies, I haven't looked at my messages in Discord in a while, so I will take a look at that. My apologies. I have not seen what you are talking about. Hayden Spring says he's in school to be a cop. Oh, cool. Well, hopefully it won't be too long before you can get out of the factory that you're not loving. 616 man, hi there. Are you going to do more Superhero Rewind in panels? I've been kicking it around this year, especially getting back into comic reviews, and I've been really enjoying getting my head back in that space. And I feel like I've kind of it's been like riding a bike. It's been really easy to get right back into comic reading and discussion. But yeah, I might. I'm very seriously considering it. Because I'm reviewing a lot of singles right now, and it would be cool to do a deep dive into narrative analysis for some kind of major story, be it a graphic novel or a long arc or what have you. So yeah, interesting you bring that up because I'm definitely kicking it around. I think Mondays this year are going to be mostly Rewind or Rewind-esque stuff with occasionally other solo things I'm doing. So, my goal is to do at least 2 Rewinds a month, but I have so many other things I want to do that are in a similar vein that I think most people won't begrudge me moving away from that podcast sometimes to do other stuff or just other rewinds that aren't just superhero. So I've still got a few requests left that aren't superhero that I've got to do, and I'm going to do a request month at some point this year, and then I've also got some revisited rewind or superhero rewind reviews that I've got to do from folks that won super chat goals last year during the 24-hour stream. So a few movies that I got to go back and do from the very, very early days of Rewind, and that'll be fun. I got to watch Mystery Men again, which I haven't seen in forever and remember next to nothing about. But then I also have to... But I also want to get to, like I said earlier, anime stuff, and I'd like to do rewinds on at least a couple of comics maybe, and some things like that, so... that is what I'm thinking. Another super chat from a few super chats here from Philip Kelton. If someone dressed as a superhero actually did vigilante-y stuff, they would just be called a terrorist or an activist. Yes, I think most people would agree with you. I think that's what they would be called. I think the question was, would they feel the need to call themselves that? And I mean, yeah, they're delusional enough to put on a costume or just go out in the middle of the night and be a vigilante. Yeah, they'd probably, especially if they were doing it because they had kind of a break with reality, or they were trying to force their fiction to become reality, and they were obsessed with comics or obsessed with superheroes. They might go, look at me, I'm a crime fighter. But the majority of people, I mean, like, wouldn't go along with that. But, lots of people have small followings of, for lack of a better word, weirdos. We're like, yeah, some people might go along with you, but for the most part, that seems dangerous and a bad idea. But then there's a part of me that also sympathizes with the notion of doing that. I mean, after all, I have, resonated with and appreciated a lot of, or I should say, they have resonated with me, a lot of superheroes who type, characters in fiction who feel the need to take matters into their own hands and do what they think is the right thing. It's easier in fiction to justify that, to condone that, with the kind of Spider-Man thing where you have a certain amount of power, and so you feel like you have the responsibility to use it for good, whereas the rest of us that didn't get bit by a spider and don't have agility or super strength or anything are like, well, I can use my power in, more traditional ways that the majority of people think you ought to do that with. But anyway, yeah, probably just called the terrorist. Philip Kelton do Immortal Hulk. That works for deep analysis. The 500th request I've gotten for Immortal Hulk. People keep telling me to go take a look at that. So yeah, I will definitely consider that. And I've got a big list of more recent comics that people have asked me to do reviews of. I may go back to older stuff for a rewind in panels. I don't know, but I will definitely consider that. I will consider it. Channel, just someone without a name. It says channel. How often do your retro consoles die out? Oh, that's a great question. I have not had it happen with anything yet, as far as like the mechanics of it, the inner workings just stop working with the machine. The only retro consoles I have right now that don't work are my NES, but it still turns on and works. It's just like with everybody, eventually the pin set dies out and you've got to replace the pin set. And I just haven't done that yet. So I know of places I can go get one. I have a Retron that plays NES, and I don't get those cartridges out very often. And I mostly just have that on display to say, look at me, I have an NES. So I haven't felt the need to replace that. I've been lazy. That's been out for probably 4 or 5 years now. I have a PS2 Slim that I had for probably 14, 15 years that finally died on me last year. And the lens stopped working, and I bought a new one, and then one of my kids set something heavy on top of it and broke the lens on that, so I had to buy yet a third console, and I got one of the fat ones, which I'd never had before, and that's working fine, and I've been playing with that some, so that's great. But yeah, not very often, I guess, is the answer to your question. I've had it happen with a couple of things, but my all my old Sega stuff still works. My Dreamcast works. My 3 different Genesis work. My Sega Saturn still works, which I've had since I was a kid, 96, 97. So again, not very often so far, but I'm on pins and needles about it a little bit because everything's getting older and older. So I'm worried that things are going to start going out, and I'm going to have to replace stuff, and it's getting more expensive to do that. I have to drive my son to a basketball practice in 5 minutes, so that's how much longer I'll be on. So if anybody wants to ask anything else that I can answer really quickly, and I'll be faster, please do that. John Ty, $5 super chat. Thank you very much. What are your thoughts that comic book stories / characters need movies or TV shows to legitimize the medium? I don't think it does legitimize the medium, even for the mainstream. What I mean is, your average person that didn't grow up with comics, that has gotten more interested in superheroes because of how popular they've been on film and television for the last decade and longer now, is not rushing out and reading comics because of that. And you might think, well, it legitimizes them in the sense that because they know that those characters came from comics, maybe people are not as weird about the medium as they might have been when I was a kid. Like, comics are just kid stuff. It's not really a legitimate narrative medium. It's just words and pictures. It's just throwaway, kind of trash. Maybe the overall perception of comics has changed a little bit with that, but I think it's kind of more just geeky things in general are not put down upon like they used to be as much, and normies, for lack of a better word, just regular folks that again aren't into this stuff, didn't grow up with this stuff, aren't beating people up over it or thinking that you're a weirdo so much because you read comics. Like, if I go out in public, and I read mostly digital now, but if I go out in public and I'm reading a comic, more often than not, I don't get weird looks from people. It's people walking up to me wondering what I'm reading, or it's weird. I've had people assume that I must be reading for work. Like, oh, you must like review comics or write about comics because you're reading comics in public. It's weird that somehow people figure that out. Maybe it's because I'm, middle-aged now. I don't know, but that kind of happens. But anyway, so I'm going to try to answer the actual question. I'm just having a hard time wrapping my mind around it. The thought that, because there's almost an assumption made in the question, like the thoughts that comic book stories need movies or TV shows to legitimize the medium. Like, I think the perception of comics overall is more positive now, but I don't know that it has legitimized the medium in the sense that a lot more people are reading comics because of that, or that there isn't still this general assumption, sort of like with animation, that by and large, comics are kind of more for kids. Because I think there still is that a little bit, at least from, adults that are older than I am. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, I don't know if I agree with the premise. If you were saying that is definitely true, I'm just going on the way you worded it. Like, that comic book stories and characters need movies to legitimize the medium. I don't think they do. I don't know how much that is actually happening. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Oh no, the bots. The bots are back. The bots are back in town. Let me get rid of these and answer these super chats very quickly before I have to get going. And I said I'd go faster, but that's not really what's happening, is it? Will you finish Undertale with Jason? Asked Philip Kelton in a super chat. I don't know if we'll be able to do it on camera. I'm struggling to find very much time to get on camera with Jason in general, which is why that hasn't happened. And it's not a series that a lot of people were interested in, but there are a few people that keep asking me about it, and I really appreciate the interest with that. So I'm not saying no, I really want to do that. I'm probably going to go back and try to play it some before I finish it with Jason, but he and I have podcasty things we want to do, and finding the hour or two, more than an hour usually, to stream together like that, more often has been kind of difficult. So we've been prioritizing father and son videos, and there's another podcast that off channel he and I recorded a pilot for recently that we're wanting to do more episodes of. But anyway, he also adds to the conversation we had a minute ago about movies legitimizing comic books. I think movies and shows undermine the importance of other media because it's still like playing on the idea that it's important now that it's on TV and films. I completely agree with that. Yeah, and thanks for articulating that in a way that I didn't, because I was a little bit hung up on just the way the question was worded. But yeah, I totally agree with that. The problem is there's this kind of obsession with seeing every character you've heard of adapted to screen so that now people will consume it. Now people will pay attention to it. It's not important. It doesn't matter until that happens. And folks that don't go back, and I sympathize with people that didn't grow up with comics and have a hard time appreciating and enjoying the medium. I do get that. But the problem with not going back to the source and needing it to be in that medium because that's just how this culture consumes entertainment, generally, or at least that kind of entertainment that's not interactive, because of course movies are bigger, or video games are bigger and make more money than movies now, but we have this sense that it doesn't matter until it's made into a movie. The problem with that is if you don't go back to the source, you don't realize how much stuff gets compromised very often. Some of that is necessary, and in truncating something into a shorter runtime and for mainstream audiences, and just in a medium that works differently than comics do. And some of that is not necessary and is done for more commercial reasons and not giving audiences enough credit, and distilling things too much and that sort of thing. So yeah, I totally agree that there is this idea that movies are legitimate and comics are not. And that's why I say I don't know how much it actually really legitimizes comics as a medium so much as superheroes as characters. But like I said a minute ago, I do think that it has helped at least minimize the idea that of comics is a lowbrow thing where it's not weird if you read them. It's just a lot of people still don't bother with it because they have these things in another medium. And I don't feel very often like comic book movies are so much for comic book fans, even though there are certainly some that come out that I still quite enjoy. Okay, guys, I would love to stay for another hour, but I don't have time. I have to take Jason to basketball. And now I wish I'd started this earlier because we have more folks watching than I expected and more comments here. G Stone says he wants a New Gods movie. That almost happened. I kind of do too. Real quick, let me read this. Cowabunga, have you ever heard of the real-life superhero in the 70s named Captain Sticky? That one I've not heard of. He was a guy who dressed up in a cape and an S on his chest and sprayed bad guys with peanut butter. Oh, he's like Condiment King if he was like an 8-year-old going to school with his peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's crazy. I've not heard of that. It reminds me of Captain Mucilage from The Tick, whose tagline is "Let's get sticky." Anyway, thanks again, everybody, for hanging out with me. I'm going to post a video tonight on Laserdisc, of all things, and, of course, another single comic review tomorrow for Not Spawn Year. And I'll be back to regular live streaming next week. Might be another stream before that. Who knows? Thanks for watching. See you later, folks. Bye, everybody.